Hi everybody, it's Katie back with another episode of my vlog, and it's the weekend, which means it's time for the Cinema Club Sunday Roundup. We actually had a pretty low week of movies this last week after an entire month of watching a scary or spooky movie every single day. We took a couple days off this last week in order to play video games, to watch some TV shows, to watch some music videos. So only 5 movies to review this week, but let's get to it. We started the beginning of the week on November 1st with The Nightmare Before Christmas from 1993. Of course, everyone loves this movie. I don't really know what to say about it besides 10 out of 10 required viewing. It's a timeless classic. It's a family favorite. We all love it. We love watching it every year. Now, we do have a specific rule about when we watch this film. A lot of people think this movie is a Halloween movie, but they're wrong. It is, of course, a Christmas movie, not a Halloween movie. And usually we reserve Christmas movies for the time period between Black Friday and Christmas because that is the actual Christmas season. And I'm one of these people that really doesn't like it when Christmas jumps ahead of other holidays. When I go to the store and I see Christmas trees for sale in October, I'm like, wait, guys, let's back it up a little. But because the movie opens on the day after Halloween, we always figure it's fair game to watch Nightmare Before Christmas anytime starting on November 1st, but then you need to get in your annual dose of this movie before December 25th because, like I said, it's a Christmas movie. So the kids really wanted to watch it on November 1st, so that's what we did this year. And like I said at the beginning, it is just a stone cold classic, 10 out of 10. Everybody loves it. Everybody loves everything about it. The character designs, the animation, the characterizations, the voice acting, the music, the special effects. It's all incredible. This movie is just an absolute gem. I have never met a person who has seen this movie who hasn't liked it. I imagine there might be some totally anti-Halloween, like religious fanatic type person who refuses to see it. But barring that person, I'm kind of like, I don't know how you could not like this movie. So we watch it every year. Like I said, have you guys seen it? It's pretty important. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. And like I said, now's the time to watch it. But if you can wait till December, even better. If you haven't seen it recently, go back and watch it again. Maybe you haven't seen it since you were a kid and now you have kids. Watch it with your kids. They're going to love it. Everybody needs to see this movie. Everybody loves this movie. That's my review of this movie. There's not much else to say. It is just pretty much perfect and an absolute delight and joy to watch every year. So that's what we do. The next night after that, Sean said, okay, we've had a whole month of spooky. Can we get like a goofy comedy instead? And I was like, okay, let me find a goofy comedy for you. And I looked around through a bunch of sort of corners of the various streaming services that I don't normally look at, looking for some just totally, let's surprise ourselves with something. And we actually wound up picking the 2009 Land of the Lost remake starring Will Ferrell and Danny McBride. You guys, this movie was better than I expected it to be and a lot funnier than I expected it to be. I mean, Will Ferrell and Danny McBride, obviously you're signing up for a comedy movie and it's going to be their particular brand of comedy. But there was something about this one. I don't know if it was like some kind of synergistic thing between the two of them where it was like Will Ferrell brings one thing to the movie and Danny McBride brings another thing to the movie, but then like you put them together and it's like greater than the sum of its parts. I don't know, maybe I was just really feeling it. But we really thought this movie was funny. I don't normally like remakes. You guys know that. This is, of course, a reinterpretation of the Sid and Marty Krofft TV show. So it's not a proper remake. It's actually more like a parody of the original TV show. And some things are kept the same and some things are different. But what they did different and what they did with the story is pretty funny and pretty great. It's not like a high film or anything that I would recommend to someone who is looking for like a great movie. But if you want to smoke a joint and watch a funny comedy adventure, this is a pretty great one that you could pick. We really enjoyed it. I really like the Sleestacks in this one. There there's a scene where Will Ferrell, in an effort to camouflage himself and not be found by the dinosaurs by smell, covers himself in dinosaur piss, and it's extremely funny. Anyhow, Land of the Lost, like I said, if what you're looking for is a mindless comedy that is an adventure also, it's a pretty fun watch. I think you guys would really enjoy it. Later in the week, we said to ourselves, okay, now that we've gone through all of these spooky movies for Halloween, we finally get to watch the new Borat movie. But the kids hadn't seen the original Borat, so we wanted to go ahead and, do things in their order. And so we went back and watched the first Borat movie from 2006 before we dipped in to the new Borat movie. And the really surprising thing about the first Borat movie is it turns out Sean and I never saw it. And we were really confused after we watched this movie because we were like, okay, we've never seen that movie, but I swear I've seen the Borat movie. And I had to do some Googling and looking things up. And I realized that what happened was we were remembering all of the old Borat sketches from the Ali G show. And we missed seeing the Borat movie, but like both of us had convinced ourselves that we'd watched it and we were just remembering the sketches from the TV show. So then I said to myself, how did we miss this movie? We're Borat fans. We're Sacha Baron Cohen fans. How did we not see it? And then I realized that Borat came out in 2006. And the other thing that came out in 2006 is our first child was born that year. Immediately halting any going to the movie theater that we were doing previously, seeing basically every movie that came out. So for 2006 and 2007, we missed a lot of movies. We're newborn baby, we weren't going to go to a movie theater. And this is, of course, back in the bad old days before there was streaming. And so I remember we had Netflix when our oldest was a newborn, but this was back in the, you had to make your queue online and get the DVDs mailed to you scenario. So I imagine the Borat movie didn't come to Netflix, otherwise we would have seen it. But anyhow, we never saw it back in 2006. So I'm really, really glad that we decided to show it to the kids before we watched the new movie. And I'm also really glad that we watched both Borat and Borat's subsequent movie film back to back one night after another, because we were able to compare them, obviously, because we had just watched both of them. So the first one, Borat. Obviously, this is the story of Borat. It's a mockumentary, right? If you don't know that, none of it's real. There's only 4 actors in the whole movie who actually know what's going on and are in on the joke. And then everyone else who's filmed in the movie is being tricked, basically. I explained it to the kids by saying it's like a YouTube prank, but like long form. And they thoroughly enjoyed it. We thoroughly enjoyed it. We thought it was hilarious. It holds up incredibly well, even though 14 years have gone by and some of the political stuff is out of date. A lot of the political stuff is not out of date at all. And it is just a charmingly funny mockumentary about Borat, the Kazakh reporter who comes to America to make a documentary about America. He's here with his producer, and they're going around interviewing people, and basically he's trying to get in trouble, but what they're doing is playing up, the supposed cultural differences between Americans and Kazakhs. Of course, the entire movie is making fun of America through the lens of Borat's interviews. It's very funny. It's very well done. It's very smart. But it's also very stupid, if that makes sense. My favorite part of the whole first Borat movie is got to be the naked hotel fight scene. I lost it laughing at that scene. Borat and his producer get into a fight in the hotel room. They're both naked. They get into this insane all-out brawl in the hotel room that then rolls out of the hotel room into the hallway of the hotel, into the elevator of the hotel with other guests of the hotel right there while they're nakedly fighting. And then downstairs into like a big, like a dinner sit-down meeting, a convention of like bankers or something. You guys, I lost it. That scene was so funny. It's the funniest scene in a very, very funny movie. it was wonderful. We loved watching it, and I still can't believe that we hadn't seen it. But again, I understand why we didn't see it. The next night, we watched the new Borat movie, and I was so excited to see the update. And you guys, it really fell a little flat for me. It is nowhere near as funny as the first one. I think it's important that he made it. I think it's especially now during this particular time in America, it's a great piss take and a great look at America and what's wrong with America. So I think it's important, and I'm glad he did it. But comparing it to the first one side by side, they're just, the first one is much funnier. It's much more original, obviously. And part of the problem is in the second one, Borat has become so popular before he makes the second movie that he actually can't do the second movie in the Borat costume. And so he has to get disguises, which is, it's like combination awesomely hilarious and horrendously awful at the same time to see Sacha Baron Cohen doing Borat, but then dressed up in these other disguises as these other characters. A real gem of a moment in the movie for me was the scene where he dresses up as the guy at the gun fair, celebration, whatever, rally that's going on up in Olympia, Washington. And he sings the Inject Him with the Wuhan Flu song. So that happened back in June. And when he did the stunt, and they, people caught wind of it and reported about it online, I posted up this big post on Facebook, and I talked all about it and talked about how much I love Sacha Baron Cohen and how funny I think he is, and how I was so glad that he was back to doing his shtick. But of course, because he was in a costume and not dressed as Borat, nobody knew that he was secretly filming the Borat movie when he did this stunt back in June. I told the kids about it back when it happened. And so then when we were watching the movie, suddenly James goes, "Oh, this is that thing that happened this summer." And I was like, yeah. So that was kind of a funny, 3D moment experiencing in the movie. But again, the rest of it, I don't know. It just was not as good as the first one. So my recommendation here is, if you have seen the first Borat movie, if you like Borat, if you think he's funny, yeah, go for it. Watch the second one. You're going to love it. You're going to think it's funny. If you have never seen it, like my mom, who, hi mom, I just talked to her on the phone this morning, and she asked me if I would recommend the second Borat movie to her. And I said, no, you know what? I think you should watch the first one. Go ahead and watch the second one if you love the first one. But if you're only going to watch one of the two, watch the first one, because it's definitely the stronger of the two of them. The whole running of the Jews scene, I mean, come on. They update it in the second movie. It's not as funny the second time around. So that's the Borat and Borat 2 situation. What did you guys think of those? I would say, like on a 10 scale, I would say Borat is like a solid 8.5 out of 10. And Borat's subsequent movie film is like a 6, maybe. 5.75. Really wasn't as good as the first one. All right. And then to end the week, last night, I said to the guys, you know what? Okay, I've had enough of contemporary comedies. I want to go back. I want to do some classics. I want to do some like a visually inspiring thing. What are we going to watch? What are we going to watch? And I came up with The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad from 1958. You guys love this movie, right? It's starring Kerwin Matthews. It's directed by Nathan Juran, but you probably don't associate either of those names with this movie. You probably associate the name Ray Harryhausen with The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. He did the stop motion special effects, of course, for this movie, and they are incredible. You have the Cyclops that is... he's got like a goat lower half of his body, like the Greek god Pan, and he's got horns, and he's really, he's pretty scary. You've got an awesome dragon who gets into a battle with the Cyclops. You've got a snake lady. You've got a battle with a skeleton, which then becomes the inspiration for the expanded version of that scene 5 years later in Jason and the Argonauts. You've got an evil wizard who's casting magic on people. You've got a princess who gets shrunk down to a little tiny pocket size and has to travel around in Sinbad's pocket in a little cage. There's a genie in a lamp. There is so much to love about this movie. It does not follow the book exactly, The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. It's actually I think it's more from like the fourth and fifth Sinbad stories are kind of what's mixed together. Oh yeah, there's the rock also, the big giant bird. And in this version, the rock has two heads, which is pretty cool. It is a really fun adventure movie. It is still visually stunning all these years later. The special effects look great. The stop motion animation looks incredible. Great performances from the actors. It's a pretty cool way to tell the story. There's not a lot of stuff that you could trim out. It's very action packed and just moves from one thing right to another. There's not a lot of long exposition parts of the movie. It's just jam packed with adventure and fun and action and monsters and battles, and it's awesome. It's a childhood favorite of mine. I watched it over and over as a kid. I think probably a childhood favorite of my dad's, which is why I watched it over and over as a kid. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dad. But yeah, I have such fond memories of watching this movie as a kid over and over, and then going back and revisiting it as a cynical, critical adult. I can't find much wrong with it. It's pretty great. It's pretty fun. And it just is visually so rich. There's just so much flavor there. There's so much to look at, and it's so well done. I just love it. I loved this time when the princess's maidservant gets turned into the snake lady by the evil wizard was my favorite part. But this is one of those movies that every time I watch it, I have like a different favorite part. But I was really feeling her like noodly armed snake dance this time. So big recommendation there. If you are a fan of classic adventure stories, if you're a fan of stop motion animation, especially Ray Harryhausen special effects, good, wholesome action adventure, you're going to love this movie. The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad from 1958. Totally great. Totally recommended. All right, and that's it for this week on Cinema Club's Sunday Roundup. I'm not even sure what we're watching tonight. I'm pretty bummed. I went looking for Witchfinder General on streaming, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Not under the name Witchfinder General and not under the name Conqueror Worm. So we might actually have to go to Movie Madness to get that one. But I am determined to show it to the kids because that's like the dangler that we had left over from our October watch list. But I'm not sure what we're moving into this next week. What have you guys been watching, and what do you have planned coming up? I'm always curious to find out. So let me know down in the comments below, or get at me on one of my other social media channels. Not Facebook, though. I have decided I've had enough of Facebook, so I'm not going to be around there anymore. Don't get at me on there because I won't be there. All right, that is it for this time. I hope you guys have enjoyed this edition of the Cinema Club Sunday Roundup. I will be back in a few more days with another episode of my vlog. Until then, stay safe and take care out there. And as usual, thank you so much for watching.